That'd be a question for us councillors. Stopping at least getting from wasting too
He thinks he might have a slip disc.
which will hurt a smidge. Thank you, Richard. Evening, everybody. Welcome to the June meeting. We have several apologies.
Okay.
Yes,
Probably because you know them.
Rob, our chairman, who's not very well, and Deb, who's got personal problems, so she won't be here today. And Ty.
Okay.
I think he's away still.
Okay, not any members of the council were declaration of interest at all for anything on the agenda? No. It's the business meeting matters summarised. I'm happy with the
I'll second the direct.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. And now,
Matters arising.
any matters arising?
I had a couple of actions. One of them was to get quotes for a skip for the compound outside.
Yes.
I've got 3 different prices, but they're all very similar. 306 plus VAT, 255 plus VAT, 310 plus VAT. Someone who didn't answer their phone, so they may or may not come back. But I only managed to speak to one of those. The others was a kind of online thing. So
This
it may
is a
vary.
big company in
PSH.
Is that
Birds.
That was.
Birds.
Oh, I didn't get Bird, but PSH, which I think is not.
Yeah, they're nice people. Yeah, they're very good.
LB Waste, that's the one at Rackheath. That was the one I spoke to in person.
Okay.
PSH said from 306, so that may be a bit more.
We had.
And I don't know who Norris is, but looking for a third quote, so we
I
can.
think he was in Moscow.
Well, he didn't. his came up cheapest.
Okay, yeah. So.
And I went by Pete's recommendation of a 6-yard skip.
Cool.
I seem to think that'll be right. So, do we want to go on with one of those? Or
Yeah.
What's it for? It's
for clearing the shrubs
Compound.
in the compound where Pete works, his sort of rubbish that he's gathered.
Oh, that compound?
Yes,
Okay.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you've got to do a separate one.
Yeah, the other one we talked about with the trustee.
Yeah.
yes.
So,
I'll
do we want to make a, do you want
yes.
to go for the cheapest or the most local?
What's the name of it?
Norris from Aylsham, 255 plus VAT. Not.
I know Peter.
Are they
Yeah.
uni skips, or is there a certain tonnage on them, or
It's
size?
yardage.
They're 6 yards.
Yeah, cubic yards.
They're all the same size
Okay.
and the prices
Yeah.
not very different.
255, why not?
Yeah, should we go?
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Where's it going to be dropped off? Will it be dropped off outside that compound down there?
Probably better
I
in
haven't
it, isn't
discussed
it?
logistics
The engine
yet.
compound, because otherwise people
Otherwise it'll be filled.
You turn your back and somebody will be in it, they'll be filling with the stuff.
There'll be
I'm
mattresses.
just thinking of the impact on the ground.
Well, it's
in the
fence, in the compound.
No, dirty big truck which comes with
That's like big trucks.
They'll mash up the turf.
Yeah, it's not that big.
But it's the bit that everybody uses for the car
For
park
cars,
on the,
yeah.
on the way out, isn't it? So it should be okay.
Still waiting for Barclays Bank about the change of signatories. There was a couple of questions and they phoned me about that, so it's now gone back to them, so waiting for that.
Okay, so at the moment we still got Russell on, only Russell.
Only Russell, yes.
So,
Well, Ben, but he's not here anymore.
no.
And then the other points are also on the agenda here. So the Broad Authority update is an agenda point. The litter pick, I've got some information from Deb about that. And the advertising granary estate was carried over and is on this agenda.
Yes. Excellent. Right. Can we ask Nigel first, as you're used to it, and then
Well, I think about the probably in order. I think as listed on your agenda, the county comes first.
okay, then.
But maybe I'll always come second to you, Nigel. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I just want to say it's really lovely to be with you tonight. Hoveton is incredibly special to me, having been brought up round here. I actually went to school at Broadland High School, and I've got lots of lovely memories. So to say that Hoveton and this area is part of my identity is a bit of an understatement, really. But I won't talk so much more about that. To embroil you somewhat in party politics, forgive me, Norfolk County Council had its annual general meeting, the AGM, on the 28th of May. And that's where we found out the administration, a reform administration, that is a minority administration. They didn't win enough seats to have a majority. They only won 40. You need 43 and above to hold a majority. So we'll have to see what happens there. They seem to be getting stuck in with taking down flags, but I'm really keen to see what actual policy they have when it comes to our communities about adult social care, about SEND provision for our youngsters in education, what it means for transport links. That's the nitty-gritty for me. That's really important. So that's something I will be focusing on and ensuring that they have the right and proper scrutiny. But certainly when it comes to this division, I'll be getting stuck in those issues, making sure that parish councils have all the vital information and residents feel heard. I think that's really important. We're a special part of North Norfolk, and I want to ensure that Hoveton and all the other parishes in this division have that clear voice when it comes to debates on policy, when it comes to debates on funding and resources opportunities. That's something I'm really wanting to champion. I think I'll leave it at that, Mr. Chairman, unless, of course, you have any comments, any questions, queries on that.
Will you be coming monthly, 2 monthly, or?
I'm going to try and attend every meeting I can. Unfortunately, I have 15 parishes and some of them do meet on the same night. But if I'm not here, I will be sending a written report.
Brilliant.
And obviously, if there's any urgent issues, you can get in contact with me. So I'd like to think I'm an approachable chap.
The last night weren't bad.
I heard very good comments. So I've known Nigel for a while now, and big shoes to fill. But I'm going to try my best. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You need a lot of time on this, and you need to make a lot of time for yourself. Have you worked out how you're going to do that? Are you working as well?
I work, and I'm also a district councillor as well, and I'm trying to work on resilience. It's a bit of a whirlwind at the moment, getting up to speed with things, but I'm very good at adapting, so yes, thank you.
I've got a question for you, please. Have you stand on development of school ground?
I think it's really important, first and foremost, that if we are looking into development, that we have the infrastructure and the facilities first. I think that's really important. I think that's fundamental going forwards, really. So I would want to scrutinise any detail on that aspect, but I would really expect Nigel, as your district councillor who is fully involved in the planning process, as it is a district aspect, to be fully involved in that and championing your views, but I'm happy to champion those on top.
The reason I brought this question up was because I recently attended the junior school,
Right.
where we did a colour run, and it gave me a real insight into the uniqueness of that school, especially the forest school bit of it. I was able to walk around the grounds and see what they had and what they were offering for the children. And obviously that school in the near future is going to need to be extended in some way. And council's always had this, well, we'll set up a bit of ground to sort of fund, you know, the increase in the school. So because of that school's uniqueness and what it's got to offer, I think that school has got so much to offer for the children of this community, a number of other communities, that I don't think in any way, shape or form that that school should lose any of its ground at all in any way to any developer. And that's basically because I attended, I saw the uniqueness of it. They raised over £5,000 doing this colour run. So that was why I asked the question, because it gave me an insight in which I didn't have before, into what that school actually offers to those children, and it is special.
I don't disagree, and I think it's a very prudent question, and development is a very emotional subject. We do need development across North Norfolk, but of course it has to be balanced, and like I say, any earmarked development has to go through the right and according processes. So if you have strong feelings, I would urge you to get involved in that process if and when there is a formal planning application. And like I say, I'm sure Nigel will be championing the community's views as well, and I'm happy to get involved in that process.
Well, just another point, in the neighbourhood plan process, I noticed that that school wasn't listed in the green X section. Broadlands was, but that school was missed. As I went through the document, it's not there, it's not listed.
Did you make comments on
Yes,
your
I did.
return
I
on
did
that?
make a comment that it wasn't listed,
That will be very much considered within that as
which I
well.
found, you know, but it could have been just an oversight, but I
Yeah.
think it's an oversight that needs to be corrected quite quickly.
Well, when the church, when the new estate was, what's it called? The new estate?
Or
Church.
Broadway.
No, Church Fields. When that was originally applied for and worked through, the field on the left-hand side was also earmarked at that point for car
That is
parking.
protected, I think,
That
by
is-
the church.
That was protected by the church, wasn't
No, you've got it listed in your green spaces,
it? Yes.
but
So,
not the infants and junior school.
but that was earmarked with the school for parking at the time as well. I don't think it ever came to that, obviously. But that particular field on the left-hand side.
I'm not sure that I would use the term earmark. There was a proposal that it could be used for that purpose, but I don't think it was ever earmarked as such.
Mhm.
I've noted it, that it's been missed.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to follow on, really, what Adam and Andy you've raised in terms of development and infrastructure. Yes, the two of us, I'm sure, will work in harmony in dealing with those applications as they come forward. But I would just like to highlight, and I believe that Adam will know about this, but certainly it is uppermost in our minds that one of the infrastructure problems we face on a daily basis is the transport, the roads through the village. So that's the 1151 and the congestion that arises on that on a daily basis. And obviously the other roads, the Horning Road and the Horning Road West, are similarly affected at times. So those kind of infrastructure issues. We are also very keen to ensure that the infrastructure of the foul water system is upgraded before we get any significant development, and we know that there is a pipeline that's proposed as part of that initial set of proposals for the development of what we call Brook Park Phase 2. So there are a number of, I think, infrastructure issues that we would like to see in place, not least of which, just coming back to the school, that the capacity of the school is grown in accordance with any development that is approved in the future, and similarly with Broadland High School. So infrastructure is very much an issue, and of course much of that does fall within your reference, so we will need to, I think, work together in a coordinated way. Right, I want to just give you the latest, I suppose, episode of the subject that you've heard a good deal from me in the past, and that, surprise, surprise, local government reorganisation, and I'll give the district councils a perspective, if you like, if there is one on this. But I think it is relevant to say that the most recent election has probably cast the future of local government reorganisation into a slightly different light, in the sense that you will probably know from the media that not only has Norfolk but Suffolk, and I think Essex, is minded to lodge a judicial review of the decision that was made to form 3 unitary councils. No doubt details of that will emerge in due course, and I think alongside that we also need to be mindful that the County Council, it's in the public domain, has ordered a hold on the work that would otherwise be progressing in drawing up what those 3 unitaries would look like and how such transfers of responsibility would take place at some time in the future. So, and we also need to bear in mind that in parliamentary terms, the parliamentary primary legislation required to move us into that new world of local government reorganisation is planned for the autumn term of Parliament. And until that is actually passed, there's probably a high risk that, a significant risk that little work will be done before then. Which places the timescale for the future election next year, which was intended to elect the unitary councillors, that places that in, I think, at some risk of people not being ready, the structures not being in place in order for that election to go ahead. So I just mention that from the point of view that that's a probable consideration that will be in our minds in the future. So we also need to bear in mind that next year as well would be the district council election. So the district council, if the election for unitary councillors is for any reason delayed and the local government reorganisation delayed or cancelled, then that would bring forward the likelihood of a district council election next May in place of the unitary. And so all of that's in the air at the moment, and I couldn't possibly speculate how the balls will fall on that one. But you just need to bear in mind that there are some significant knock-on implications on the kind of plan that had been rolled out and is still in place until central government says otherwise. I should just add that, of course, that once the Parliamentary Act is in place in the autumn, then theoretically central government can say to all the councils in Norfolk, you need to get on and do this and deliver it. And until that time, we'll be in a state, I guess, of pending. I don't really want to say very much more because I think the District Council at North Norfolk will clearly have to identify where it wants to be in all of that. And I suspect, whilst its initial position was that it supported the 3 unitary option, that may, in the light of new developments, change where it wants to be. It has to make up its mind on that, and we'll wait and see how that evolves. I don't think at this stage I don't want to say anything more really. I'm mindful that your neighbourhood plan consultation has concluded, and I can confirm that I put a significant contribution into the considerations in due course. Hopefully they will be processed, and we'll see what comes out of that. But I think it's well done on reaching that stage in the development of the neighbourhood plan. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Where do we stand, Nigel, with the local plan? Because I understand they're looking for more land at the moment.
Well, that's an interesting one, Andy. As it stands, Adam may know a little, wearing his other hat, may know a little bit more than me, but all I can tell you is that the local plan that was approved in December is still in place. It is the only local plan that we have in place. I'm mindful that central government is eager to raise our target for housing delivery, and the only way that that will be done in a formal way would be to ask for an update on that plan, a review of that plan, an early review of that plan. Local plans are normally reviewed, I say reviewed, that isn't necessarily a formal review, but they are reviewed usually every 5 years. So for a 15-year plan, you can expect there's 2 reviews to be had at the 5 and 10-year point. But I believe that there are grounds to suspect that this government will be pressing North Norfolk, along with every other council, to change or to revise its local plan to include a far greater housing delivery. But I'll leave it at that unless Alan wants to add anything to it.
I think you've covered that quite, aptly actually.
Thank you, Nigel.
Well, that's the science.
Well, all I would say is what I said before, where are we going to get our water from? I mean, the Wensum is running lower than it's ever run. We get our water from the Wensum and the Mousehold aquifers, and there's nothing that I can see in the next 10 years plus where there's any extra water coming to this part of the county. In fact, the new reservoirs at the top are sending it all down to Cambridge. It's not our patch, they're sending more over that way to the west from the Waking. There's plans for that. There's nothing for our council. I mean, and all that development you've got in Yarmouth and even North Suffolk and down Essex, they're going to be wanting more water from our river here.
I think you raise a very fair point, Dennis. I think that it is a challenge. It's a challenge that is going to get more and more urgent as time passes, but unfortunately I have to say that strategically plans have not been what I would call put in place in sufficient time to head off what is like to be shortages, and all we need really is a continual increase in terms of the climate change that we're experiencing, i.e. lower rainfall, greater temperatures. All of that will exacerbate the situation and accelerate the problem of water deficiency. And I think it comes back to the point that Andy's raised. infrastructure, it's another crucial piece of infrastructure.
Okay, thank you very much, Nigel.
No problem.
Right, come to the public speaking section now. Has any members of the public wanting to say anything of the items on the agenda? 3-minute limit on each, so I'll go around if that's okay.
We were supposed to be having the work done regarding the flooding at the end of Grange Close outside number 81. That was supposed to have started in spring this year. It's now summer. That hasn't started. I just would like to clarify why the two parish councillors were coming to have a look down my end of the close regarding flooding when you popped the other day. I would have spent more time with you, but you just hit me at the wrong time.
For me, it was just curiosity. Yeah, just an interest.
Sorry?
For me, it was curiosity and an interest. It's understanding the geography, you know, how the terrains are, the relationship with the fields, the way in which it's flowing along there, and trying to find out where the points are, where it's been coming up. And your contribution and discussion was very useful.
Well, Angry Water don't claim it's coming up as such. It does come up. I mean, the flooding is the surface flooding as well that doesn't contribute. That contributes to that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you know, it needs to flow out. The simplest thing to look at is the Environment Agency flood maps. If you look at there, you can see where the original water used to flow many years ago before we stripped it all out of the land. But what happens when we have serious floods like that in 2016 and 2019, when it's actually, I've since found out, it's actually in somebody's conservatory. And you've got sewage in the garden, but the work was supposed to be done on doing something. And nothing to make a significant contribute towards alleviating it has happened. And I've been on this since 2019.
Yeah. I think, Mr. Chairman, it might be one that Adam will be able to pursue with highways.
I've made notes already. We can have a little chit chat at the end to get some more details, but I'm more than happy to chase highways on this.
Oh, I'll get your email. I'll send you an email.
Absolutely. Yes, please. No, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's to the clerk actually. On your minutes that you've just agreed from your last meeting, you've got proposed and seconded for your election of chair and vice chair, but there's no vote or carried. So where does that kind of stand at the moment?
Well spotted, yeah. It was voted at the time, I remember. That's correct. And I know, I think you recorded, so you'll see on your video.
Yeah, I'm talking about the minutes though that
Yes.
you've just agreed.
So, yeah, we should correct those minutes. Thank you.
Cool.
Sorry, okay.
Two things. One I want to raise, and somebody asked me to raise one coming this evening. They said on agenda you've got the thing about the bins down at Riverside Park and Pocket Park, I think
Yes.
it said. And the question was, why has it got to be the parish that pays for the emptying if it's to do with the Broads Authority?
I'm not sure that it is the parish paying for those ones. We are trying to get a list of all our bins that the parish pay for, and that'll be coming a bit more coming up later on because we've got to pay the bill that's just been sent in on that. But, sorry, no, Karen.
And the second one was particularly near the Riverside Bridge, the double yellow lines are so faded you can't really see them. So you can't really kind of hope to enforce anything without actually seeing them.
Had taken photographs of cars parked over those lines. We were told they couldn't enforce them because they were so.
Right.
And we've asked highways to come and redo the yellow lines. But as yet we haven't heard back, which is when that will be happening.
Thank you so much.
If it would help, I have a list from my previous life of count of who owns the bins, etc.
Yes.
If that would help, I can certainly submit it to the clerk.
Yes, please, yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
I've only got two. I do the health and safety. What's her name? Alison. Alison.
Yeah.
Do you get the reports?
Yes,
Right. The fishing line bin.
yes.
Because before I don't know who emptied it, but I used to do it. Report it. Someone used to empty it, but I don't think it's being emptied, is it? I know it's not. Since the 1st of June, it was still full up.
I don't know. I spoke to our groundsman about it, and he said that didn't used to be his job. He's never had to empty it until very recently.
Well, because someone
So
used
I
to
don't
empty
know
it
who used to
before.
empty it before. But he emptied it last time because it was so overfull. But,
I understand only direct were
Yeah, but you got all the new blokes in there now,
and
haven't
they were looking at doing something.
Yeah.
Duncan's not involved with it.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
Yeah.
well, unfortunately, but perhaps if you went and had a word with them in direct, somebody in there who's been reappointed to empty them basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing is, last meeting I mentioned about the drain at Granary Safe.
yeah.
Was there any comeback on it? Did Ben do anything? I get handling water involved to see where the sewage was coming from, if anywhere.
From what we can see, there was initial discussions, but they haven't been taken any further. So
Yeah.
it is part of our plan on Granary State to get that sorted and have someone drop the old dye down the top and find out who's leaking. That's part of the overall plan for Granary State updates. Thank you. Anybody else?
I received an apology from the chairman, the ex-chairman, I should say. I'm afraid I can't accept that apology because it fell short of what was discussed when the chairman came round my house. And I thought we were clear when he left what my expectations were of that apology, and it fell way short of what we agreed. So I understand that you don't want to revisit this anymore, and I personally do not want to revisit this anymore, so I won't be bringing it up again. But the reason it's dragged on for so long is because the intransigence of the community council, not my part. I've had to constantly bring it up to get a fair hearing. My concern was purely for the neighbourhood plan, nothing else. That was where my concern came from. And that came from the fact of what I heard at a meeting where the developer had contacted the chairman and suggested certain things to the chairman. So then I became concerned for the neighbourhood plan. Now that has all been dressed up by the parish council. My concern was for 106 Mallet, never mentioned. It was about Brook Park Phase 2, never mentioned. And it was about the local plan, never mentioned. So you can see why I pursued this constantly, because it's not been addressed correctly from my perspective. So that's the reason why I can't accept that apology. And I really have got to now stand back and think where I go from here, because I've got nowhere here at all. Sadly. Do you want to say anything on that?
It's almost a year this has been dragging on, hasn't it? And we have tried to have a dialogue with Andrew and do understand where he's coming from, but also I know what was in my mind when I said something last July, and it was what I said. So I know what my thinking was. The comment was in relation to possible Section 106 at some point down the line, so I can't change what was in my mind. I may not have said it very clearly in the meeting. I think I have to accept that, and also we've apologised to Andrew down the line for the fact that things got very confused last September in terms of what motives were attributed to Andrew asking the question, so we tried to apologise for that as well. So try to apologise at each stage as much as I can. That's.
Well, I'm sorry, it's fallen on our shoulders because the main protagonist for this was your ex-clerk, Ben Bethel, who's played a pivotal role in what has gone on. And it's fallen on your shoulders, and I constantly tried to get Ben to apologise to me constantly. Never transpired, never. He ducked and dived the issue at every opportunity he could.
Well, I don't know what we can do on that score now. As Russell said, it's a year down the line. Ben is no longer with us, so we're not going to get anything further from Ben. So I don't know how we can conclude this for
You
you.
learn by your mistakes, for one.
We could, and we try to. So I'll
That
take
would be
that on board.
reassuring for anybody. Because anybody who walks through that door, my advice to them would be very careful what you do. Because my experience has been quite unpleasant at times. And it's been, you know, it's not been an easy process for me to keep coming here month after month bringing up the same issue. But as you appreciate, for me, it was quite a strong, it was important to me. So I did constantly bring it up, and as I keep saying, my concern was for the neighbourhood plan and nothing else. And I felt that the people of this village had a right to know that the developer had had contact with the parish council on the 15th of July last year. No one in the village knew who the developer was at that occasion. But obviously the parish council knew who the developer was. We didn't know.
I would beg to differ. I certainly didn't know who the developer was.
You didn't?
No, not at that stage.
No, that's what I'm saying. We didn't know, did we?
No.
But the developer...
No, you just said that the parish council knew.
Well, a member of the parish council then knew. I'll stand corrected.
But as I say, we're a year down the line, so I don't know what else we can do for you. So
Well, that's for me to decide what I do with it.
yes, it is, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Now to 8926, the past report.
Okay.
Good night, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll just briefly go over what we're doing on top of the usual everyday things this last month. Russell and I attended the Norfolk Association of Local Councils AGM, which I'm sure Russell will agree was informative and very friendly and welcoming. We received some advice from their officers and regarding website and IT on my part, and heard about some networking events which are going on for clerks in the area, which I'll feedback if there's anything interesting come out of that as well. I met with Rob, who unfortunately isn't here today, of course, as he is the new chairman, and we discussed how we work together as clerk and chair and take that forward. I also attended an HMRC webinar on claiming expenses and mileage, which was just as exciting as it sounds. So, there's something about that though which the internal auditor picked up on. They've changed their mileage allowance from 45 pence a mile, which I think has been that for many years, and it's now up to 50 pence a mile, so hopefully the council will consider that. And yeah, I've been communicating with the internal auditor, and we've got her report to look at later on. Also getting quotes from skips. I had a few emails between myself and the Roxton Parish Council, which is really because people don't know who to report things to, whether it should be Roxton or whether it should be us. And it did arrive, and Andrew, you saw it was in Roxton Parish's agenda as well, that someone was trying to get into the accessible toilets. It's got a radar key, so I guess they didn't have one, and they contacted us where the key's kept. Well, we don't keep a key, but I found out it's at the Tourist Information Office, so I think we'll ask them if they can put, I think Andrew suggested if they could put a sign up to say they do have the key, so if people want to speak to them, because obviously there's a little bit of a problem there. There's some opportunity for more funding for bus stops. And at first I thought, do we really need another bus stop? But I think you said there's possibly looking at the one outside Roy, see if that would cover, we could investigate whether we get the funding for a covered bus stop there. And also this is an action, this isn't something that I've been doing this last month, but I'm aware that Wroxham Parish Council and our Parish Council used to meet fairly regularly, or at least the chair and maybe the clerk did, just to keep in touch with what each other are doing, because we're quite closely aligned. So I hope to reinstate this with their new clerk now. She's coming in the post quite soon.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. And do you want to do the co-option? The next item?
Well, this is really looking at ideas to encourage applicants, and one of them was using the Standard Lines event to promote our council. Hope to attract some people. I think you have some ideas on that, did you?
Yeah. Victoria was going to put up a little poster for us, or create a poster for us, and we could crib that and have a little leaflet or two to hand out come to life event saying what a parish council does, etc., and duties, and would you like to join? So that's what we'll be doing come to life event. That's August, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
I think we'll discuss who's going to man the store as well.
We do need to, I think for the last, well, I've been here 2 years now, for the last couple of years we've had a spread of people throughout the day, and we normally have a stand next to the village hall stand, so we can cover that hopefully between us, but it starts at 10, I think, closes at 4. So yeah, we'll hopefully get a few more folk when everybody's back in, and we'll sort of rotor out for that. That's that, yeah.
Yes.
Cool. 5126, a new bus shelter on the Stowell Road.
I don't think I mentioned that.
Well, that's fine. The work will start week commencing the 22nd of June. So hopefully that's my only question on that, and all the necessary authorities are aware of it. Do we need to talk to people whose house it's going to go up in front of?
Does it include the hard standing that I fought very hard for with Ben?
I would need to talk to the contractor on that. I don't recall seeing anything about the hard standing being put in as well.
Because
But obviously it does get very wet there, doesn't it? So it's going
Yeah,
to be
well,
some
it's-
issues, wouldn't it?
like a bog when it rains.
Yes, so I will talk to them tomorrow.
And I live just round the corner so I can keep an eye.
Thank you, yeah. But do we need to advise folk? Because I know there's a hedge in front of the house and the road.
Very high edge, yeah.
Yeah, but should we talk to the
I
folk
think
there?
it's-
Just
I think it's a responsibility of the workers or the authorities.
Surely if you put plans in, the people who put the plans in should tell people around what's going on.
I didn't see a planning notice go up, but I could have missed it. And I don't think it's come to us, has it?
I haven't received a plan.
No.
It may not come under planning in that way. It may be something.
But when this one, what was the one they put out here when they put the shelter up?
I don't think that came with planning. I don't think that was done under planning, a planning rule. I think it was done under development rights, which highways have, putting infrastructure in.
Okay, so this would presumably be the same. So, should we have a chat? Or just through
Worth it, the reason why not,
Yeah.
residents of maybe 3 out with all the maiden plus one other side,
Yeah.
See if they've been
to
informed.
advise them that, from that, well, to let them know about the date for parking access, and nothing else.
Yeah, so we keep trucks around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, brilliant. That's what we'll do. And obviously, as Alison said earlier, the same funding arrangements have been launched for 26-27, so if we can think of anywhere else that we need an improved bus stop come shelter.
I still say the proposal I come, moving it by the police station, because Ben told me it's got to be for 2 buses. If you go down here, when they put one bus, the second bus comes in and half his arse hangs out the back anyway.
So the rear of the bus sticks
Yeah,
out?
sorry. Didn't edit that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see where this 2 bus lot comes from, because it doesn't work outside Royce.
No, it doesn't. I agree with you there, but can I ask you guys, what you think of that?
Well, it needs
Would
to be-
that be something you could back if we try to push that? I mean,
That's very much a county.
Yeah, I'd be happy to undertake discussions and get highways to review that.
because at the moment the busiest bus stop going into Norwich, which is that one outside the Royals,
Yes, it is.
has no cover. So
It
it's
is-
going to get damp waiting.
It is potentially a very good place for it. I did actually write to Sarah Taylor, the former police commissioner, about this, because one of her big briefs was actually about road safety. That was basically where the background had come from. Unfortunately, I didn't have a reply at all. But the measurements, the wall of the police station, looking at it, could actually be taken a little bit back, and there would be enough space for a bay.
You could put the bay on the car park, because it's supposed to be unmanned, no one's supposed to be there. There's loads of cars always parked there.
Yeah.
Don't know they
Well, they have the police boats, don't they? The safety boats.
So they're around the side, aren't they?
Yeah, they're around the side.
You've got to have people that man them, so they're going to drive in and have to park their cars, aren't they? Somewhere.
Yeah, but that would be a way of, creating a bit more space anyway.
Yeah. And then it'll make that bit walking past Roy's, they can put the pavement back.
Yeah.
And you've got, because people in wheelchairs and that, when people stand there for a bus, I feel sorry for them.
Mm.
Fair point, yeah. So, and I know Peter was always in contact, or had a contact with Roy's, didn't he? So I think we need to pick that up from our end and try and build that, see if they could come up with any ideas.
Do you want me to have a look on his computer and
If
see?
you could, Alex, that'd be tremendous.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be a part of any discussions and lobby and push anything appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, one thing that you might want to check out on, and Alan might want to pass this on to highways as well, and that is that the hedge at the point where the new bus shelter is.
Yeah.
Hedges have a habit of migrating outwards,
Yes.
and I think that it would be worthwhile highways checking the exact boundary of the footway, because that hedge may have encroached over the footway. So really and truly what you should be working to is the full width of that footway.
Yes.
What that will give you, I don't know, because I don't know whether how much encroachment, if any, there's been, but I think that's a good point to check. Make sure that you know exactly where that shelter can go to give as much space. And I agree very much with the point that Alex has made, that if there is no hard standing, that bus shelter will have a very limited use.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the whole problem of water standing on that corner there will have to be dealt with as part of that. And if you create a concrete island and with water all around it, it's not going to work either.
No.
Well, the hedge has consumed the lamppost, hasn't it? The lamppost is in the hedge, so that kind of indicates that the hedge is
No, it's not.
Mm.
Yes.
So I would suspect there's some encroachment personally.
Yeah.
The couple that live in the house to which I believe the hedge belongs are Polish and both are disabled. So I think that if they agree to have the hedge trimmed, they will need help.
Okay. Thank you.
Can't we just do it?
Well, highways can do it, but highways would then send whoever a bill for it.
Yeah.
Can't us as a council just go up there
We
and
want
get
to
the hedge?
volunteer to the people who own it, just you personally, but I'm not sure as a council we should be saying that we're going to do it. If someone wants to be neighbourly.
Nigel, you get your edge cuts. Nigel, get your edge cuts now for nothing, you'll come out and do it for nothing.
Nigel might take you up on that. Okay, thank you. That's the bus shelter. Now, Richard, 5226, neighbourhood plan.
Oh, right, yes. Seems to have been a long process, this neighbourhood plan. A lot of very good comments have come in, submissions, which the group will need to look at and go through. And I've asked, because what's been happening is that they've all been coming in primarily through Alison, you've been receiving them, particularly on the survey ones and some of the direct emails that people have put in, where they've made up their own responses. It's more of a comment-based one rather than it's a method whereby all we have is open questions, or we have closed questions, i.e. a survey. So a survey will tell you a lot about people's opinions about the neighbourhood plan. A number of people have filled in the surveys, both online and also physical surveys, which went out to a variety of locations. They've all been collected in. The information from that, and also obviously the organisations, the agencies, the statutory bodies, all that lot that have been consulted, have all been passed over now to the consultant that's been employed as far as doing the neighbourhood plan. She's working through them, and I can't really give you much detail about stuff at the moment because it's so many different people. There seems to be a bit of a tug of war going on, to be honest. You've got your planning authority, which is North Norfolk District Council, within their comments saying we'd like this to be kept as basically as simple as possible, as much as compliant with the local plan, but also to have a bit of an edge on the local needs and issues which have been identified. So it's got a bit of a skew towards Hoveton rather than be a generalised piece of planning for an area. So that's coming with more the North Norfolk District Council. I'm being very generalist here, but that's really how they would be wanting to see things, their planners. Whereas a lot of the local comments have come in, and they are very keen on ensuring, really down to crossing the T's, dotting the I's, all the different views, all the different aspects that we put into a neighbourhood plan, particularly in regarding the sewage, the utilities, those issues, and wanting to make them very much at the forefront. How that pans out is partly going to be down to, ultimately it's down to the examiner. So what happens in the next stage is that all this information is going to be looked at. Consultation group needs to have a meeting probably in the first week or two of July, and if you want to come up, because there's so many people that are on that group here, if we want to come up with a date we can set it now. If you want the 8th or the 7th of July, the Wednesday or the Thursday, let's go for that. Let me know, Jane, if you're looking. You're very important to come along. And so we have a meeting which will then be, I think, facilitated by Louise, based on her professionalism as well as a planner, because we've got to get this through to an examiner. But what we don't want to do in any way is unjustify some of the comments that have already been made. So it's a really difficult balancing thing to move it forward like that. And then there's the evidence base. There's still going to be, the examiner will be looking at things and they'll be saying, well, where's the evidence base of that? So we've got to be sharp enough to say, well, that came out of the initial consultation, the initial survey, that's come from a walk around which we did and we saw appropriate views, etc. So we've got to be able to put the evidence base in, otherwise it's just going to all be dismissed. Or not necessarily dismissed, but changed to an extent which it fits in with the wider agendas rather than our particular agenda, and that's why it's a very delicate operation in a way to make sure that we get this absolutely right. And when it finally goes, it will be going to a referendum for everyone to hopefully say yes to it. But if people carry on, or some people feel as though that has not met their criteria, then they'll probably vote no against it. I don't know. But you know, it's up to people. But all we've done is really have an exercise of introspection about here and what we particularly value and what would be open for not necessarily, well, forms of development, and that includes green spaces, etc., till the year 2040, which then will be re-examined again in 5 years' time as a supplementary addition to the plan anyway. So I think it's all going to be useful, but we've got to make sure it's right, and I don't really think any one person should be doing that at all, and they won't be. As long as the consultation group, in responding to what's happened to the consultation, can have a really objective look at it, and then once we're happy with that, there's actually no great time period that has to be met in terms of legislation at this stage. You know, the 6-week period was the norm for Regulation 14, and we took a period which was longer than that. And going back to your mention of the developer up the road, just as it's interesting that there's not been any planning application put in there as such at the moment yet. But the more the neighbourhood plan progresses, the more the local strength about it will be have to be considered. So, anyone else got any questions about the neighbourhood plan? Jane, did you have a look in your diary? Barbara's. Yeah, Barbara's the key person. Yeah.
Prime person. She's been on it all the way through. Yeah, and I'd say that first week in June.
Okay. So are we looking at the 7th or the 8th or? Did you get an email from me about a week or so ago, just saying that you got it?
Yeah. I might do the 7th because I'm having a scout fundraising barbecue order. If I can do the 8th.
Oh, well, it's the 8th then.
The 8th, sorry.
Yeah.
Bring the rolls.
Let's do it. We needed enough time for Louise to be able to gather.
Right, the 8th?
Yeah. Maybe you're okay.
Okay, because the room's free.
Yeah.
Russell?
I can do the 8th all the night. I have a slight preference for night, but I can do like that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just add to what Richard said, I appreciate your striving for perfection, but I have to say that it's probably a challenge that you'll never ever meet. I don't think that even the district council, when it took the better part of 10 years to produce the latest local plan, will not have achieved perfection. And it is not a document that's cast in concrete. It needs to be flexible. It needs to respond to developments which we can't at the moment perhaps anticipate, but we need to be prepared for in some way. So it's all very well having it, really tightly bound, but actually that takes you into territory where if it's really tightly bound, you don't have flexibility to do what you think, actually, I wish we'd have put that in there and given us that ability. So I think actually to have flexibility there is really important, but I think what you can state are the principles and the values that this community places on this village and the makeup of the village. So my advice would be, don't box yourself in, but give yourself scope to be able to respond to proposals that come along. And some of those will be what I would call fairly big picture things. So they will be not just the brook parks, but there will be other areas of the village where developments will come forward in due course. And it needs to be nimble enough and agile enough to be able to deal with those and not to be in a position where it's maybe adversarial or in some ways confrontational. It needs to be able to embrace that opportunity when it comes along. But those values and principles, if the wrong development comes along, they ought to be the ones that you rely on to say, this is not in keeping what the village has said it was.
Exactly, which is why we've got things like the design code within the neighbourhood plan.
Nigel, may I ask a question? Somebody, authority said that if you do a retrospective planning application, you don't have to comply with nutrient neutrality.
Retrospective?
Yeah. So if somebody's done something, built something, and then it's flagged up, this is what I was told from somebody quite in the knowledge, that they said, well, this is quite a wheeze, you don't have to, if you do it retrospectively, you don't have to comply with nutrient neutrality, which seems a little bit of a door that could be opened in the future. I don't say on a big development, but I mean on small things.
Well, I mean, there is a general rule about planning applications, and that is whether it's current, i.e. ahead of the development, or retrospective, they all have to be judged on the criteria that existed at the time. So, if you had a development that was carried out but without permission, that retrospective application would be judged on the basis of were it to have come forward at that particular time when it should have done, was it capable of being approved or not? If it wasn't capable of being approved, i.e. policies were against it, that probably puts it in very difficult territory. You then have to look at whether the development contributes much more than the harm that it's likely to do. And if it does, notwithstanding the fact that it didn't comply with policy when it should have had the application through, retrospectively, and with the benefit of hindsight, you might have a situation where it could be approved. So I wouldn't see that as necessarily trammeling you into a box. That depends on a number of factors, and that applies pretty much to every planning application. They're all judged on their individual merits.
It's interesting that Hoveton Properties have, I think recently in the papers on one of their other developments, they've reduced the amount of social housing. And they're the ones proposed for Brook Park County too.
Well, they're the ones that were fishing to be on Brook Park, but they're not.
I'm just saying.
They don't
I
propose
think
really,
it was maybe Heatherset, where they've reduced. Yeah, so just to be aware of that.
I mean, that's a really difficult one because
They're all
what we have to remember that district councils are not developers. They are only enablers that creates the policies and processes that approves planning approvals. You know, if the developer chooses to sit on that piece of land and do nothing, there's nothing the district council can do. And that's what's likely to happen if, and this has happened a number of times with a number of different planning authorities I've noticed, where they have been prepared to concess that element of the development. And yes, you can look at it and say, well, that's what you agreed to do, but unfortunately, developers are quite powerful people, actually.
No, there's a social element side of development changed in the percentage of social housing to a development. Has that changed in any way?
Has it changed?
Yes. Has it changed?
Well, there is a policy that every planning authority has on regarding a percentage, and usually it's a kind of expressed as tolerance, i.e. between 20 and 35%, perhaps typically, is what's quoted. And that's the expectation. But all of those planning applications will be subject to a viability assessment. So you get an application come forward and the developer says, I can't actually give you more than 20%. And that may be the figure that the planning authority settles on. But even then, the developer might not do anything for quite a while and then come back and say, you know what, the market's changed tremendously. I can't afford to even give you the 20%. I can't afford to give you any in some cases.
And that gets through.
And it
Yeah,
gets through.
it has got through. It got through in Holt, didn't it?
Yeah, because they started building them and they come out with that. Halfway through his development.
So the planning authority has to make a decision. Do I accept? Do I stand on principle here and say no? If I don't get my affordable element, nothing's going to happen. Then you won't get anything. So if there's 100 houses, right, in Prospect, and 20% of those are meant to be affordable, and the developer says, well, I can't develop the scheme if you won't allow me to concess this 20, you won't get any. So 20% of nothing is nothing.
Yeah, and you've got central government breathing down your neck as well.
Well, central government can't actually make the developer do the developer is very powerful. It's driven by market conditions, and those who choose to try to rig the market are generally heading into wind and uphill.
I have another expression for that.
Can I ask whether Flagship at the moment have got a policy of getting rid of and selling off older council housing, possibly for the benefit of them being able to get in on affordable or social housing within new development and having more capital to do that? Is that what's happening?
It has been happening for quite a while. Certainly, Victory Housing were doing it before they merged, and I know it's a policy that it's a difficult one. I have to say, I find it hard to believe that a housing association can't actually modernise housing stock more cost effectively than the private sector. But I've never been able to win that argument, I have to say. And so they get sold off, they get auctioned off. We've got a number in this village that have done, well, there's one already up the road.
Yeah, and this is a huge concern. North Norfolk has a homelessness and housing crisis, and then, Flagship and Victory are doing things like this, so it just exacerbates the current situation we have.
Would it though make them eligible as a social housing association, that if they were to bid into, say, a new development, to meet this, be part of the affordable housing criteria, is there a way in which they can have subsidy and then the housing association then comes in because they've got the capital money? Maybe they've got a problem with revenue money and the way in which they're actually spending that within their current housing stock, and it's a bit easier for them just to go and spend it on new stuff.
Well, I don't have detailed knowledge of quite how the housing associations fund themselves, but my belief is that they will have access to different pots of money. One of them will come from Homes England in central government.
That's the one.
And it may be that that pot is more accessible for brand new homes than it is for modernising, 10 old homes. They can actually get the money more easily for new homes. So that I believe is part of the logic. When I looked at it, that argument has certainly come into play, and I've not been able to disprove it.
Thank you. Can we? Anybody else? Otherwise, I'd like to try and get back onto the agenda, because we have another meeting after this. Right. It's all. We've got an issue still.
Yeah, that's all right.
Right, so the next thing, we've got a slight issue with the laptop, it's not wanting to play. But the next item is the Broads Authority update, which we'd like to try and share with you.
Yeah, I'm disappointed I couldn't show their updates. We have an email updates from them, and the last one was a nice tribute to Peter Howe from them. So that would have been very nice to show you, but unfortunately my laptop isn't allowing me to pull anything up. It didn't give any, they haven't given any details about work they're doing in Hoveton at the moment, and I will try and invite them to one of our meetings, but I haven't had any response yet. Is that they would like to at some point attend.
Okay.
So, sorry, I have nothing more to add to that.
Okay, thank you. Shame about that, because it would have been good to see a bit of that Peter. Now we've got an update on the granary stave works. Obviously we did the repairs to the footpath prior, 3 weekends ago now? Which is holding up okay-ish, but it does need looking at again, so I'll pop down there again tomorrow, and if I need help, could I call you? Yeah, brilliant. But we also, the issues we've had over the last couple of bank holiday weekends is the bins down there. They've been overflowing, and last August we were totally caught out when they didn't turn up the day before, and the bin was rubbish everywhere, wasn't it? So having caught a Serco guy down there 2 weekends ago, he said, yeah, it all depends on who's working on the bank holiday, and they don't pay enough, so not everybody volunteers for it. That's fine. So I do believe our contract is coming up, isn't it? So we need to look to them. The guy I spoke to said, you've got a load of bins at the depot, but obviously if you want more bins, they're going to charge you for it. But we may need more bins come the summer time down there, and the riverside parks, because again, they were overflowing, and it doesn't look good for anybody when you've got bins and rubbish just chucked down by the side. So we need to look at that, and David and I are going to do a whole bin reconnoitre and review of whatever's out there to see where else we need bins, or if we need to move them around, or whether we add more dog poo bins. Or so we'll be doing that over the next couple of months and get to that. We also had an issue down there, it was pointed out to me, we're saying don't feed the birds inside the fence area, but then we've got signs all the way around saying bird feeding area. So we just want to get agreement from the council that we cover up the top part of those signs taking up bird feeding area, so we don't go ahead and do that. So if someone would like to say yay.
Yeah.
And you're going to second it, aren't you?
I don't understand it.
Okay. There are signs down at the stage.
Yes.
That say, I'm trying to think exactly what to say. At the top it says bird feeding area or something. And we're trying, but it's this side of the fence towards the river.
Okay.
And what we're trying to say to everybody is, please just don't feed the birds, feed the swans, whatever it is, please, with the correct food. But in feeding the birds, you're encouraging the pigeons, which causes issues. So what we're trying to do is just blank out the top of the signs.
So what does it just say? Feeding
bird
area?
feeding area, yeah.
So
And it's beyond the fence, which is right.
Okay.
So,
So that makes sense, Paul.
Yeah.
You've got that.
and
And you said you. Oh,
Okay.
thank you. So that was
I'll
a
go
really
on one second.
in a roundabout way.
Thank you. So we're going to change that.
We will in time, but that will be part of the main update come close of season. The point is getting 2 sets of signs done, so we'll just cover it up with the black tape or paint for the time being, so everybody understands which is the bird feeding area.
Good.
I think that makes sense. And then it's back over to you, Alison.
she's arranged with the district council to borrow all the equipment needed for a litter pick, and on the collection day for the equipment and litter as well. So the actual litter pick will be on the 27th of June, wasn't it? Meeting at 10 a.m. here at the village hall. There'll be plenty of advertising for that beforehand for anybody who wants to join us there. That's about it really. That's getting on with that. And Victoria's kindly offered to do posters for that as well. So she's been busy with her posters this week. It's like,
next, 5626, advertising on the stage and other council areas for village hall events. And I think there was a test the other weekend for the Dixie Mix Jazz. That obviously it worked because lots of people turned up in the end. It was a very successful event, so I'd just like to propose that we do allow village hall advertising on the council notice boards and at the stage.
Yeah. Do you want to specify the maximum size of banners on the stage?
The last one used was about 18 inches by.
Yeah, that's size. But because that's where that came from.
Yes.
Should we specify that as being the maximum size permissible?
Well, the whole advertising thing actually needs looking at in conjunction with Broads Authority, because I believe their rule is no advertising facing the river, so we need to be careful on how we do it.
Well, we don't want to face the road anyway, because we want to let the people who are seated really see advertising.
Yes. But it could also affect all the boards that are down there from the various eateries, which may then, how we tackle this would see how they're either changed or brought into line with what we do without getting the Broads Authority all upset. So at the moment they're willing just to let us do what we're doing. But
okay.
So yes, maximum size of that makes sense to me. Everybody else?
Yeah.
Right,
okay.
Cool. Thank you.
On the advertising, is that going to be free to everybody?
No, it's all village hall.
Because you know there'll be other people interested in putting their little rocks and bombs.
I think
puts
that's
them everywhere, doesn't it?
I think that's what we need a policy for.
Yeah.
And we need to say in the policy exactly that, and the size.
But that's going beyond what we're looking at here.
Yeah, no, it's just the and to produce a policy in that, you know, if the agenda item just stopped at notice boards, fine. But the second part of it says and.
Then you and I will have to sit down and look at that and create a policy, Rich. How's that?
I think we need it.
Cool.
And I think the Granary State Working Party group is nodding away on that one. Yeah.
Thank you. Sam, speed awareness monitors. Our one has broken and has been sent to the manufacturers to look at, see what's wrong with it. They have come back and said, unfortunately, it's bad news. It's £950 to get it repaired, something like that. Yeah. Versus a new one, which would be £3,500 or near £4,000. Slightly updated model, but we did buy new batteries for our one within the last 7 months, so we've got batteries for it, so I propose that we would get the existing machine repaired. So
How long will one be?
I have to check, but I'm going to guess there is, I don't think there was a warranty on the original, so you just have to go with. But I can check on that.
Yeah.
So we would have to pay the £950 plus the initial fee for them checking it out.
Yeah.
And
It's 60 or 80 pounds or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I propose that we do that.
Yeah, seconded. Yeah.
Excellent. And we're also going to borrow Roxham's spare, so we can get double the data. They have the spare monitor. I believe it's the same as our one. It's one of the older ones where you have to download via a lead as opposed to Bluetooth. So it's not going to be a new snappy one. And then what we need to do is make sure we get that information out on our website so that people can see what we're doing. At the moment, Ben was downloading it and giving it to Peter, and it wasn't going any further. So we need to, not Peter's fault, because it comes off in a horrible format. And I was hoping Ty would help us with that, because I understand he's a bit of a computer whiz, so we need to put it into a more of an Excel format so we can actually get it looking good and out.
I'm sure you can print it out in Excel or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Output it Excel from the machine.
not as easy as you think, but it's a horrible piece of kit, programming that's built into these monitors. So that's what we'll do when and we'll have double the data, so we'll have traffic volumes to and from, and we can do double the amount of work. So be able to provide the data to whoever needs it. And as I say, putting it out on the website.
Right. Is the next one there?
Skip.
Yeah. Can I just try, because I'm sorry, I've got something wrong with the computer. I'm just going to try and see.
So yeah, the next item is to approve the skip compound, which I believe you've done.
Yes.
So we can move on to a slightly more complicated one, but only if you have the.
Connect it, but it's not. I'm just going to see if I can get it only on the laptop to start with, actually. Plugged in.
Or that could be terminal.
Right, and then how do I go? So I think I'm going to have to leave that at the moment. So it's
Next part, yeah, skip, which we agreed with the 255. Yeah. And then that
I used to work on the telly, didn't
And you like that?
Let's get down there just to...
Yeah, well, the next bit is the stuff.
Okay. Now, I did send these forms around for everyone to look at. And I'll just talk you through it anyway. So I know you haven't got them in front of you, but there's two sections that we need to complete, to tick boxes.
You need to just tell me what AGL stands for.
Yeah, sorry, it's the annual governance and accountability return. So this is our end of year accounts, and we've had the internal auditor look at them. Everything adds up. Look, she's perfectly happy. It's the year that's just ended, so it's from 2025 to 26, April to April. And everything adds up, but she has some recommendations, which is quite normal. It's just things that we can improve on. And I had them here, ready to go through and highlight them with you. But the main one is, she said the asset register should be on the website, which it wasn't, and it is now. And that means she's ticked a box saying, no, we didn't have the information on the website, we should have done. So it looks like, oh no, she's ticked a no box on her form, but it's not a disaster, and it's on there now, so it shouldn't be a problem. Everything else she's ticked, yes, we've done correctly. The recommendations, other recommendations are things like signing the actual bank account statements, as well as the cash book form that I provide. But she was fine that everything is done properly.
Yeah, I've got a report here if you want it, Alison, but I mean all the other points were just like,
Yeah, they're just administrative.
icing on the cake, sort of, wouldn't it be nice if you signed this each month and so on, so there wasn't anything of concern there.
No.
So I think most of the other points we can just pick up.
Okay.
Now,
Carry on.
The parts that we as the council have to sign, well, that would be Andrew and myself as the RFO and as the clerk Mr Chairman to sign. Section 1 says that we, the Council, have put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year in the preparation of the accounting statements, and you have to say as a Council that you agree with that. Now that means you put in place arrangements for financial management that you're happy we've got the dual authorisation of the bank account, that you see the accounts monthly and how much money goes in and goes out of the accounts, and that you're happy that's being checked. So if anybody is, that's a yes.
Yes.
Yep. Maintained an adequate system of internal control, which means you've got someone else looking at my work, it's not just me, and that comes back to the signatories, people in finance looking at the accounts. And I know you all have access to the cash book through the Google Drive anyway, so any of you can look at that. We've assured ourselves that there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with the laws. So are you all happy that we're following the law and proper practice financially, as far as you are aware? Which
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to go through laws, but that is, you've employed an RFO, which is me,
Yeah.
to hold your accounts and checking them.
Okay.
We'll provide proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of the lecturer's rights in accordance with the requirements. Now this comes up with the elector's rights means that after these forms are complete, I put a notice out, Mr Ben would have done this last year, he did do it, to say that any member of the public in the parish can come and look at our accounts, which they can really any time of the year if they wanted to, but it's just an official period, if you like.
Okay.
So we did that last year, the internal auditor saw it, and you're happy that we're doing that again. Carried out an assessment of the risks faced by the authority, or we have a risk assessment document, and it says that we carried that out, and you reviewed that recently.
We have.
Maintained through the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of the accounting records and control systems. We've got the internal auditor looked at our books, and we sign paperwork every month. We took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from the internal and external audit. Well, last year there weren't any points raised, everyone was happy, so yeah. Considered whether any litigation liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurred either during or after the year end have a financial impact on the authority, and where appropriate have included in the accounting statements. Well, basically what that means is we disclose any business activities and events and the special things that are going to cost extra money, or anything that you may think will cost more or be a risk for the council. I don't think there's been anything like that. No, certainly the internal auditor didn't pick up on it. As I wasn't here last year, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't know now I've seen it anyway. No, so you're happy that that's done correctly.
Yeah.
Right, and then it says there's a special box if you are the trustee of a charity, which you are,
Yep.
and have you met all your responsibilities as the trustee? Have you discharged your
Trustee,
village board? So you've had regular meetings, and you're looking after the accounts, and they've also had their accounts audited recently. So everyone's happy that you've done that correctly. Yes, you've met all your responsibilities. You've put in you've put in place arrangements for the effective IT and data management. Well, apart from this going wrong, which isn't a good sign, but we use save the cash book in the cloud, and we've also got backup on a hard drive at home. So the fact the computer itself has gone wrong really isn't a major issue, and that's probably just proved the point here. But that's what we're looking at. There's effective safe put in place.
Can I ask a question about that? And data protection. Have we got a nominated or actual data protection officer?
That would be me.
That's you.
Yeah, that would be my job. And we've got, well, I think quite recently reviewed the policy for data protection, didn't we? That was
There was
this
a,
last one.
2 or 3
before,
policies.
yeah.
Yes, I did one of them.
Okay, so that's all that, and then it's signed by the chair and the clerk. So I'll sign sign it. actually just it's the numbers which the internal auditor has confirmed are okay, and then balances brought forward from last year, the amount of income and expenditure, the value of all our assets. This was circulated, so I think everyone saw that. The asset register, there was a little bit of a question because it changed, but it's being updated at the moment. So I went back and made sure I had the most recent one. Well, I was able to show her. So that is the new figure on there. The correct includes the correct asset register figure as well. So everybody's happy with that. I can pass that around if you want to look, but I mean, I know you won't know just looking at this page, but it was circulated earlier, so if you're happy with what you saw. Yeah, so that's signed by me as the RFO and the chair of the meeting. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I don't have to be changing.
That's okay. So that's the audit.
Yeah.
And now we need to the government statement and the accounting statement.
That's these two we just signed a bit.
Yes, of course.
So
Back onto the finance. Yeah.
Which
approved payment.
was circulated for everybody.
Was everybody happy with that?
Yeah. This may not be the right section to do it on.
Connect your computer.
My computer won't connect to that because it hasn't got one of these connectors. I've got a USB there as well.
We've got another one. Russell, there's a USB there, if you want.
Does it do a USB?
It's USB, you can, no longer, that's the length of the cable, unfortunately, you have to have a USB cable to connect to that.
Yeah, I haven't got that. I'll have a chair or anything.
No, that one is on the front page, so maybe just sign on the bottom.
Can I just say that the first part of that, you've got very little under income, a lot under expenditure. But under the expenditure part of it, the first item that comes up is bank charges, which come up at £8.50 from memory or so.
That's something new, but was introduced about 2 months ago.
What about, no, we've got a savings account with about, 60k in, or something like that. Where's the interest?
Its interest is not made up every month, but we did have interest 2 months ago. The first month I did a meeting, there was interest as income.
Okay.
So I imagine it must be quarterly.
Right, okay, thank you.
I'm also going to suggest that some of the money from the current account is transferred to the savings to get the benefit of that interest.
Yeah, makes sense.
What's the interest rate at the moment on that? Do you know?
It says here. They might say somewhere in the small print here, but I don't know off the top of my head, I'm afraid. Oh, can you read that? Glasses.
Gross percentage is 1.05.
Yeah, it's not huge interest.
No.
Right.
We'd probably find better if we look around.
Oh, well said. Well said.
Yes. That's something we can look at.
I think this is the Unity Bank.
Yeah.
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 This is one of Richard's pets, so...
Well,
I think
I've
we
had
need to get
approval
Richard
for it to
involved.
be changed 2 years ago. It still
Well, the
hasn't
benefit of the
happened.
Unity Bank is it's actually just for councils and charities, whereas Barclays don't recognise a parish council, and our account is either a business account or a charity non-profit group account. They don't recognise councils in their own right.
I'm sure you could get 3.4 on a savings account or something like Unity.
And Unity do charge still. So
But
I don't know if
so
they-
that lot.
they were- yeah, I don't know if the charges would be any less, but personally I'd say that they're probably more suitable. But it's up to the council. We can get some information on that.
Is that a motion then?
That we looked
That
at.
we look at that, yeah.
Thank you.
Was there any other questions about payments?
This includes the bins, doesn't it?
Yes, that's an annual.
Annual of £5,203
Yeah.
So it's quite
So
important.
that's why the expenditure is particularly high this month, but
Yeah.
it's actually, if you did take that off, it's...
So it'd be important to have that bin information, please, Alex, so we can see where they are. Would it be worth looking, and this could be the wrong meet, to look at bringing the village hall and the council in with one contractor where we might be able to save some money?
Well, the village hall contractor is, I think, North Norfolk District Council. They use
Yeah, so there's
the cost of the bin, and it's only a bin. It's got a very old-fashioned bin, but I quite like it, to be honest. It's more metal than plastic. But that bin that goes out there every other Tuesday,
big black one.
the big black one,
Yeah.
is 600 and I think 38, it may be 88 a year.
80, I think it'll be 88, yeah.
688 a year. And that's for all the bin stuff from the hall and basically the
And
park
just
as
opening
well.
that's a big commercial bin, but someone goes around and empties these little ones into it. is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Right,
certain
so
people
we're not-
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're not paying to have the little bins.
No, that little bin that's just out there isn't being collected by North Norfolk District. Well, no, it only gets collected by them when it's in the big bin,
Yeah.
which is then put out once a
And
fortnight.
volunteers
Yeah.
empty that bin.
So I'm just thinking it'd be a slightly different contract if we're on, I don't know how that would work, because we're asking them around the village to collect up the individual bins, and here they just come in and take the big commercial
Big bin, yeah.
I mean, the truck that comes is very small facilities, it only just scoops up the free one, empties and goes. There's no opportunity for putting small bins there.
Yeah, there's
Can't
definitely
put
worth
them
asking
small
if they would do. I mean, it would have to be, we'd have to split and say that can they invoice the village hall separately
yeah.
from the
Yeah.
council, but they could perhaps look at it as one.
It could be a money saving opportunity, couldn't it? So we
Isn't
can
that
look at that as part of our bin.
Yeah, but all our finances are separated.
Yeah, so
Well,
they
we
would
guess it-
invoice separately,
Yeah.
even if it was the
Good.
same company doing it. Okay.
Yep. That's the finance all done, isn't it? So we're on to planning now. There's just two, there's Riverside Park, Station Road, and it was to have some willows re-pollarded, sorry, and remove lower limb on the eastern side, and that was that's BA. And the other one was again the Bronze Authority, King's Head Hotel, Station Road, a new mounted external TV and speakers to the rear beer garden, presumably for the World Cup. Again, I don't think we've got any issues with that, have we?
No objection to either of those.
I guess it's something you have to do. Will they take it down after this summer?
I don't know.
Doesn't say, but
It might say, yeah, if we looked up, it might say if there's a time limit.
yeah. But would they keep it out there on weathers? Anyway, yeah, we could have a quick handy on the website, couldn't we? Check that out. Note any urgent decisions made.
I don't think so,
No,
no.
I don't think.
Except perhaps getting a new
I
computer.
knew that. And then we, yeah. 6326, correspondence to note, the clerk has received.
Right. Yeah, I've received, well, those who come to meetings regularly will know we've had 2 subject access requests, and both of them came back with wanting reviews. They weren't happy with the original response, so looking at
Someone
those-
used to hit the light.
Thank you. I've also received an email from North Norfolk District Council about their local plan, which was forwarded to councillors so they could look at the review of the local plan. And quite a number of emails, especially from the last days, which knows about the neighbourhood plan. So lots of responses came in all at once.
Yes, they did.
the main things that I've received.
So then, final item is 6426 items for the next meeting, which will be on Monday the 6th of July. Yeah, one wedding anniversary.
I'll put down a review of training because we'll have our council training
We will.
before then. So
On the
we can
29th.
council-
The 29th or something?
Yes.
Yes.
So perhaps we'll put that as an agenda item to sort of acknowledge what we've done there. And the public notice, which I've already explained, for the AFR will be going out that month.
Okay, thank you.
And that's just
Well, that concludes the public part of the meeting. So thank you everybody for coming on.